What's your name?
Preston Ryan.
And you're a student?
Yeah, I'm a student. I'm a sophomore at Douglas West High School.
Okay. And so, tell us what's going on.
So, basically, wearing the Confederate battle flag, on the hat. And I walk into school about last year or so, and walk in, and I kind of get some dirty looks from some different teachers. And
one moment, I have one question to ask you. Now, you got dirty looks from teachers.
Yeah.
Now, did any students really give you any hassle on this, or has any students ever said anything to you about this, or has it just been the staff?
It's really just been the staff. Some students would be like, good job, like the hat. And that's the only distraction I'd ever see going down the hallway. A couple of my buddies be like, can I wear the hat? There's a few African American kids that were there and asked see if they could wear the hat. And I had no problem with it. That was about it. Just teachers.
Okay. Now, other excuse me, other kids in your school say they I don't know. Are there other things where they wear hats or shirts that I don't know, maybe display a lifestyle or any kind of I don't know, historical thing that would be offensive to some? Or
I'm not too sure about historical, but we got a gay pride club here at school. That's just for gays, and lesbians, and homosexuals, asexuals, transsexuals. So it's just kind of one of those things. Like we got a few people actually just the other day wearing a gay pride flag as a cape. And every day there's a girl that comes to our school and wears a gay pride rainbow beanie, and you can totally tell she's proud, and I have no problem with it. But that's basically the only thing I see that's symbolizes proud, being pride.
Now, from what these educators are saying, they seem to think that that's a distraction, your hat. Now, wouldn't that be the same thing? I mean, if they're saying that's distracting, wearing a cape and a rainbow hat, it seems to be a bit more colorful than a battle flag. So I'm just kind of curious. It seems to be that there's a double standard here.
Yeah, I talked to the superintendent, and he told me that I guess they're protected by federal agencies, is what he told me today, which kind of made me chuckle a little bit. He said that they're accepted pretty much, and I don't know. I don't think that's really acceptable, like how somebody else is being singled out because I do come from a different background. I have a huge different background than most kids at this school, and I just don't see that's right. I'm glad that they're wearing that. I'm glad that they're proud to be different than me, and I'm glad that they're different than other people. But I just don't think it's right that they can just rub that in our face and just say you can't wear that. You can't symbolize. You can't be proud of where you come from. So,
do you feel like you're being equally protected and treated under the law?
No, not at all. I feel like this whole thing's a joke, honestly. From the beginning, when they said that I can't wear that hat, I get where they're coming from. I'm a different person.
Well, this is the part that I don't quite understand. Where, on what grounds? Really, on what grounds do they get to say that something like that can be worn? It's not cuss words. It's not a gun, even though I don't know why the image of a gun would be prohibited.
Exactly.
And it's not anti-government. It's not anything. It's just it's an old flag from a conflict that happened over 100 years ago.
Yeah.
So I don't really understand how that's really relevant. So anyway, so go ahead and tell your story from the beginning. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, that's okay. I walk into school and I got a dirty look from somebody, and it was one of the staffs. And
Do you know exactly who that was?
Yeah, his name was Mr. Ramos. He was last year's detention teacher. He doesn't work there anymore, but yeah, he said that that symbolizes hate, and he told me that his grandpa was actually one of the leaders of the Ku Klux Klan, and he was a Red Dragon or something. I don't even know what he was talking about. I don't know if he even knew what he was talking about, but
I'm not from that kind of culture at all.
Yeah, neither am I. But I said, and he was Samoan, and so he kept asking me like, "Can you take that hat off?" And I said, "No, this is part of who I am." And I told him, everybody should be proud. Come in here with a flag that you're proud of and wear it. And so he just kept saying no. He kept saying, you need to quit chewing. That was another big issue. And he was completely discriminate. He was completely discriminating me in every possible way he could find. Getting busted with chew at school and wearing the Confederate flag. Last year I got told I could wear it throughout the entire day, except for being in his class. So I accepted it and I respected that. I said, okay, I'll have it in my backpack before I walk in the door, out of disrespect. And it just got to the point where he just kept, coming at me, saying, flying that flag around the school is just flying out hate colors all around, that it's completely prohibited. And if, that was flown over where I come from, things would be handled a lot differently and a lot harder than it is here. So it was more of a...
Sounds sort of threatening.
Yeah, it was more threatening than anything. I didn't really take it as a threat. I wasn't really scared. Right. It's just another guy. So...
Now, did you make any complaints against these people?
Oh yeah, I made a huge complaint against him.
Did you make written complaints against him?
No written complaints. I'm not a big guy at writing things down, telling them, but I just talked to Mr. Elder. He called me in, asked him what was going on.
Is that your principal?
Yeah, he still goes there. But I just told him what was going on, and later on that year, he said something about that there's enough woods here around Lewis County to hide a body about my size, and that's kind of where I drew the line. Like, dude, this is not a good place to do that. Saying flying around the Confederate flag is just a big F you in everybody else's face. And I said, well, I'm sorry you don't come from where I come from. I'm sorry we got two different heritages. I'm sorry. Do you look at it as some sort of a hateful thing towards black people wearing a hat like that?
No, I got friends of all kind. I don't care if you're black, white, brown, yellow, blue. I don't care. I can go through all the colors.
Right.
If I got a few friends that live right by me, I go over there and visit them every once in a while, and I just have a nice conversation with them. I even talked to the superintendent today. I asked him, if WF West High School was the United States, and the superintendent was the president, and the school board was the Congress, because they make the rules. And I said, well, are you guys Congress? And he said, yeah. I'm like, so you guys can make the rules? Yes. Well, I asked him, I said, well, in the big picture, in the real world, the real Congress, do you guys have any more power than the Congress here of the United States? He said no. I was like, so what gives you the right to take my First Amendment away at school? And he said, well, we got to obey by the policies and this and that. And
Are they sworn to the policies?
He's just saying, from what he's heard, is that the Confederate flag is a symbol of hatred.
Well, who cares about what he heard? What is his evidence of that? And by the way, when he says that he's the legislative branch, is he also allowed to be the executive and the judicial? Because that's what he is right there. He's all three. So what is he talking about?
They see that's the thing that confuses me about these people, is they don't have these authorities, and they want to take all authority.
Yeah.
I mean, basically what they're doing is they're saying that you're under their constant jurisdiction. If you walk onto this public place paid for with public money, so you can have a public education, that you have acquiesced and that you are now a slave. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. Why would your rights be gone at the door? There's no. That's what I'm asking for. What's the reason for that? That you see, because the rules are just rules. They're not laws.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not allowed to make laws. So tell me what happened with this lady. Well, now you had a meeting with this superintendent. Is that right? Now you had a meeting with him when?
Today.
Today. Now, tell me exactly what happened there.
So, I told him, and I shook his hand as soon as he walked through the door, and, I said who I was, and I said, you probably already know me, and I told him, I was really blunt about it, and I said, I will be filming this, if it's okay with you or not. It's a public meeting, I have every right to, and, I wasn't trying to be a jerk or anything about it, but I just told him, this is what's going to happen. So he told me, I told him what the situation was. I said, I feel like, I'm being singled out. I feel like I'm being discriminated. I have my political standpoints, even at 15, I might be young, but I still got my standpoints, what I believe in, and I stand really firm on that. And nothing's going to change that. And, they know pretty much who I am. And I told them. And they kind of shut up about that. So, I told them, and I said, what gives you the right to take away somebody else's First Amendment? If somebody tries to take your guns, your flag, and a huge part of your family, you fight for it. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm standing up for myself. And I believe that everybody should be able to do that. Everybody can do that. And I hope that everybody does do that. And I basically just told them that. And I said, you have no right. You're not the Congress. You're nobody compared to them. You're just another human being like me and you. You have no more rights than I do. Nobody else has more rights than I do. I have no more rights than anybody else. We're all equal. We all bleed red. No matter what. If we're red, white, black, blue. It doesn't matter to me. We're all equal. Just because I fly a different flag with a different background, different heritage, doesn't mean I'm a bad person. Doesn't mean that anybody's a bad person. So that's what I said to him.
What was his response?
Well, he told me, the argument went on. He said, well, nowadays it's symbolized as a symbol of hatred, this and that. And, it's not heritage, it's hate. And that's where I asked him, I said, so what are you telling me? Everybody here at this school has a right to be proud of anything.
Did he have anything to say that was positive or anything like that? Or was it just basically he was asserting that he was going to violate your rights and that was going to be the end of it?
Pretty much. He said he's just going to obey the policy. Some with the policy, it's always about the policy.
Did he give you a policy that specifically stated that you
Not
were?
really.
Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever had any disciplinary problems in school?
I have. Well, every kid has.
A lot of them, or what sort of things?
I'll just being late to class. That's about it.
I mean, real disciplinary problems where you've been a disruption, or you harmed somebody, or hatefully said something to someone, or
not really.
And that there is a record of within the school. Did they discipline you for anything? Is there a record of discipline that shows that you've been some sort of a real problem student, or you've disrupted other people or offended a lot of people? Is there anything like that that they could point to say, hey, this is why we're doing this. You are a disruption, and this is just a long chain of events where you wore the hat to be a rebel. Is there anything like that they could point to?
honestly, for the past 2 years I've been going to that school, or you know, the 10 years I've been going to school, period, I haven't heard of anything. And I know if there was, I know that I'd be hearing it right now. They'd be using it against me.
They certainly would.
And I haven't heard anything. I'm guessing, you know, judging off, you know, what they're doing, I haven't heard anything.
Neither have I. As a matter of fact, just the opposite. I've heard from a lot of people, that the people that have chimed in, that I didn't even know you knew you, actually have all said that you're a good kid, and you should be proud of that, because most young people don't have people that would just chime in and say, hey, this guy's a really good kid. We don't understand what's going on here. Yeah. So I just wanted to hear it from you, and you know, I didn't. That's what I was wondering, if they had any kind of leg to stand on, because it seems like they certainly do not.
Sure.
What's your name first?
Hillary Heriter. My brother Preston Ryan was kicked out of Chehalis High School for wearing a Confederate flag hat. Even though it's not in their school dress code. I don't know what else to say.
Well, how did it go down exactly? He was in school and they came and talked to him, or you know, they pulled him aside, or
they approached him before he came into the building. The janitor guy, Tino, and Mr. Elder approached him and said, give us the hat or you have to leave. And he said, I'm not giving you my property. And so he didn't have any choice but to leave.
And when did this happen?
Within the last month, so about a month ago.
Now have you talked to the school at all?
Yes, I went to basically a disciplinary meeting with the school where I thought we were going there to talk about the issue, but really I feel that after attending the meeting that it really was just meant to shame Preston and to scare his dad. And so Preston and his dad were the only ones that the school staff wanted to go into the meeting, even though there's like 5 or 6 of us there to support Preston. And so basically this guy, Mr. Elder, came out and said, so we're just going to take back Preston and his dad. And he just left us out in the lobby, and we thought it was just the principal and Preston and maybe one other person and Preston's dad. Well, my mom was smart enough to think that maybe one of us should just go back there anyway, even though they didn't ask us to. And so my brother wanted me to go back there, and when I went back there, there was like 7 or 8 school staff back there. They basically were just trying to corner his dad and Preston, and they didn't want to talk about it at all. It was already a done decision. It was basically a Delphi meeting where the decision's already been made, but they're pretending like you have some kind of input on it. And I, of course, brought my pocket constitution. You know, I was holding it up and saying, basically, this is the law. Your student handbook isn't the law. This is the actual law. And I was met with complete contempt, and about halfway through the meeting, they stopped responding to me, and they wouldn't even look at me, and I actually had to get sarcastic and a little bit rude to even get a response from them. So I basically just went in there, brought up the Constitution and his rights, and they just got pissed and started just not even responding to me. It was very weird. And also, at least 3 of the school staff shamelessly claimed that the students don't have rights as soon as they step into the doors of the school.
So what were the names of those educators? Do you know the names of all those educators that told you that they could basically abridge his rights when he stepped through the doors of the school or on school grounds?
All I remember is Mrs. Williams, who's, I believe, like the counselor there. Mr. Elder, I don't know what he does. I know Tino, the janitor. I think Tino is one of the biggest problems there. And so there's Mr. Elder, and who's the other lady? Mrs. Balmer. So, yep.
Mrs. Balmer's the principal.
Yeah. And she kept saying, you know, I said it was his First Amendment right to wear that hat and it wasn't hurting anybody. What did I just say?
You said you kept saying it was his First Amendment right.
Oh yeah, I just kept bringing up this is First Amendment right. You can't stop him. It's not hurting anybody, him wearing that hat. And she just kept saying other people have rights too. And she said it a few times. I didn't even understand what she was saying. It's like, how is...
Did she point out how he was violating someone else's
rights
by wearing a hat?
Or anywhere else, it is what it is. It's the time we live in. It's the conflict that it's creating right now that it probably didn't 10 years ago. And for some reason, it's been attached to a symbol of hatred, and that's the way it is.
But like I said, you know, I would like to be able to have, I have every right to wear that hat. And everybody here at the school has a right to wear anything that they believe in.
No,
Everybody does.
No, they don't.
Do they question your?
Some do, some don't. It depends on the county.
And
but most of them know already that it's perfectly legal. They just try to buffalo us because they don't want this stuff to get put out there in the public where it belongs.
Well, we can give
this
you
is a public meeting.
You right now.
I know.
Yes.
How come it's not recorded by you?
Well,
guys?
because you just can't have the right to record people without their permission.
But this in public, you're public servants doing a public business in a public place.
And we take minutes and we provide those minutes to people, and we'll repeat exactly what we said. It's for the other people, sir. Mainly for the people that have come to the meetings that may want to speak but don't want to be recorded.
It's
Why
all
wouldn't
public.
They want to be recorded?
People are just funny that way.
They're here at a public meeting. They can't stop it.
Well.
He doesn't even know what he's talking about. Like I said, he's just used to bullying people around that don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I saw that.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, it's a packed house tonight, so thank you all for coming out this evening. And we will obviously start with opening the floor to audience comments.
Before we start, I feel obligated to let folks know that we do have a couple people in the room recording both audio and video from us. Okay?
For what? For what are they recording?
I don't know.
It's for my channel on YouTube. I have a regular newscast that I do, and I'm starting doing a newscast about things here in Lewis County. So this is going to be a part of my first newscast right here, just about this county.
Have you? Yes, I have signed in, I believe. Have you signed in?
No.
Have you filed an application to do that?
For what?
To record it?
I don't need to file an application to film a public meeting.
Does anybody object to the recording and the video?
They sign in so I know who they are and what they're doing.
Could I get you to sign in, please?
No, I don't need to sign in.
What if he identifies himself?
I'll give you one of my cards if you like. If you would like one of my cards, I'll give you one of my business cards.
That'd be great, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
You may all have one if you like.
All right, any other concerns about the recording at this point then? Okay, we will go ahead and open the floor to audience comments.
Do you want me to come up here? Or?
Oh, right there's fine. Just make sure you just state your name so that we can get it in our minutes would be great.
Yeah, my name's Hillary Harrider. Hillary Harrider. I'm here to inform you that the staff of Chehalis High School has violated my brother's constitutional rights. This is my brother Preston right here. I believe that they are enforcing political correctness, pushing a progressive liberal agenda, and spreading lies about the Constitution to the students. The school kicked my brother out for wearing a hat with a historical American flag on it, a flag that means many things to many different people. It's not the school's job to determine its meaning or take a side on the matter. The Confederate flag is not in the school's dress code, and yet they took it upon themselves to discriminate against my brother and kick him out anyway. Unless a student is using his or her First Amendment rights to threaten the liberty of another person, the school needs to stay out of it, period. I insist that my brother's rights be restored and be allowed to wear the hat in school again. I insist that the staff be reprimanded for the things they said about the Constitution at the disciplinary meeting and for the many other times they have lied to students about their rights and violated them. Any federal, state, county, or city laws that contradict the Constitution are not valid. Any regulations, ordinances, codes, policies, or procedures that contradict the Constitution are not valid. So even if the school does put the Confederate flag in their dress code or come up with any other excuses to violate students' rights, it won't be valid. I believe the liberal staff and teachers are picking on my brother and the Confederate flag because they both hold conservative values. Here's an example of their prejudice. My brother wears a hat that represents Southern pride. He is kicked out and shamed. A student wears a gay pride flag. He is accepted and praised. Why? Because it goes along with the liberal agenda. One other thing that needs to be addressed, the school handbook quotes a few parts of the Constitution, but someone added words to it. For example, it quotes part of the First Amendment, then it reads, unless it disrupts the learning process. Who gave them the legal authority to change and add words to the Constitution? Who gave them the authority to add a vague blanket statement that gives them unlimited power over it? They do not have that kind of power, whether they think they do or not. I'm here to uphold the real law, the real Constitution, and that is what I'm asking all of you to do as well. As elected representatives, you have a duty to uphold the Constitution. That's all.
At this time, any other audience comments? Yes.
Good evening. And I have discussed an issue with the school board. My name is Preston Ryan. I am a sophomore here at WF West. Over the last year or so, this issue's been going on with wearing a Confederate flag and on my hat or on a shirt, on a sweatshirt. And I have family that fought in the Civil War for both sides. I wear the hat as a symbol of Southern pride and its heritage. That's all I fly that flag for. I know my rights are limited at school, but as of no, supporting drugs, alcohol, and guns, I'm not violating any three of those things. And all I ask is that, I've been told multiple times, I've been rejected from my teacher and told that I was not allowed to be here at school, not in his class. I've been told by the principals either to give my property away to them or to go home. And honestly, we have a gay pride club here at school. And what I've noticed is that it's okay for somebody who has a different background than me to have their pride and heritage, but I'm not allowed to have mine because I come from a different place in here. And honestly, I think that's completely unright. And all I ask from here is it can be interpreted from many different points of views from different people with different backgrounds. But all I ask from the school board is to let me wear my hat during school and without any disruptions of my educational process or any others, or any distractions. Thank you.
All right, at this time, do we have any other audience comments? Board comments?
We got one more. I am Dan Cole.
And I just want to comment on the situation with Preston as well. I have 2 sons that go to WF West. I'm a Bearcat, and I love this community very, very much. We all know that there's a lot of stuff going on in this country, and I think most of us don't like a lot of it as far as this type of where our society is going and where our freedoms and rights have gone. So I don't think that this is a cry that any of you don't at least understand in your hearts. So you know, the situation may seem small to some people, but it's a big deal to Preston, and Preston has freedom in his heart, and he's a good kid, and I'm glad that he's able to have the courage to come here and, you know, speak his heart about it. It's admirable for him. And I just immediately, when I heard about this, the first thing I thought is that our family is Christians, and we obviously hold that value pretty dear, and some of us are concerned about where that kind of freedom is going. So if a couple of students or a staff member is offended by his Confederate flag and he is told that he can't wear it, then what about when my son's Christian t-shirt offends someone? Because it will, and it does. It offends many people in this culture these days. So it's just really concerning to me for it to be such a broad, there's nothing in the book, there's nothing really specific, and other students have worn rebel flag things on their clothes and stuff since this issue with him where he was asked to leave. So it's not only needs to be defined as far as the situation, but it's obviously a huge concern to a lot of us in the community. Only a few could come tonight, but many of the parents and people that we've talked to are concerned about this, because what if something, you know, a lot of our kids have a lot of strong beliefs about stuff and wear a lot of different things to school, and unless it's going to be uniforms, then we have to really take time to consider these issues. So I think that's the main thing we want, is more considering of it, and yeah, for his rights to not be violated, or any of our kids. So thank you.
All right, one more chance then. Anybody else from the audience?
My name's Robert Harriger. I was born and raised in Oakland, California. And I went into the Air Force March 4th, 1968. We had a lot of social unrest in the Bay Area at the time. A lot of social upheaval. A lot of change of ideas. I joined the Air Force because I had a really low number. And I suspected I'd probably get drafted within the first 6 months. And my induction date was March 4th, 1968. The morning I showed up for induction, there was a huge crowd of people out in front. They had barricades, and me and a bunch of other young people walked amongst this crowd of people pretty close to my age. And they're handing out flyers, encouraging me to not go into service. Bunch of anti-war protesters. And I sympathized with their idea. I didn't want to go. But being a poor student, I didn't see myself getting a student deferment or being able to maintain it very long. They handed me a flyer. I read it quickly and I handed it back. I was met with expletives and they were spitting on me because I was doing something they didn't believe in and they didn't like. But I served my country to preserve the very Constitution that allowed them to express themselves, maybe not very civilly, but I understood. When I took the oath of induction to serve in the armed forces, to protect the constitutional rights and privileges of other people that I didn't agree with. We're losing that. And every time we send a young man to spill blood to preserve our way of life, and then people at home are undermining it because they got ideas that they think's good for everybody else, we're in sad shape. Sad. We can't be the police for everybody's opinion or direction or convictions. I understand you have to maintain a standard, but let's have a standard, not double standards. That's indicative of an agenda. You know, we can't just all be sheeples and follow a bunch of people who are a little more strong-minded than others, you know, and hope to preserve our way of life. That's all I got.
Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Peter Allo. I'm an 1886 graduate, and I apologize for the notes. I was somewhat unprepared. I've heard allegations that members of the board and/or staff stated to students that a student's constitutional rights are suspended on entering school grounds. Is the board prepared to answer that question? Did any of you state that to students? Okay. In Tennessee, a 10-year-old boy was restricted to the silent table for waving around a piece of pizza that looked like a firearm to some people. In Colorado, a young boy was suspended for throwing imaginary grenades at imaginary monsters. Suspended from school for that, 10 years old. These are the kind of things that happen in other states and other municipalities. Why is this happening here? Why is it happening at all? In 2009, the Ninth Circuit review of a case in Los Angeles examined a civil liberties violation of a student's rights in school. They weren't examining whether or not the student had rights. They were examining whether or not the school would be held accountable as a whole, or whether or not the individual teachers and faculty would be held accountable personally. The question of the civil right, his First Amendment rights, were not even being discussed. I mean, Chehalis High School should not only be apologizing to Preston for violating his civil rights, he should be begging him not to sue. Thank you.
Any more comments from the floor? Obviously, we're elected officials. I mean, we're on this board with the primary goal of children's education. That's what we're here for. That's always our goal. And being elected officials, we represent the community, you know, and so, you know, we can't come to any decisions tonight, but it's anytime we hear a concern, I think it's worth making sure we look at our policy and that things are current. So, thank you. Any other board comments? And thank you for coming out tonight.
Will you guys have something prepared to say for the next meeting, maybe?
Comments based on the comments that were made today?
Yes.
I would be willing to meet with anybody that would like to meet with me if they'd make an appointment.
Okay.
If you'd like to comment.
I asked for you several times in the past 2 weeks, and I've asked Bob Walters if I could speak with you one-on-one, and still haven't gotten a chance.
Yeah. I'm sorry for the misunderstanding, but we did have you tried to block you out at some point prior to this meeting, and we just couldn't make it happen.
Okay.
But we can make that happen before Christmas break if you'd like.
All right, yeah.
Or during Christmas break if you're around.
Actually, I'd honestly like to have a meeting before Christmas break with all of these people here that are supporting me in this, and even other people that just want to be there.
Can we start with a meeting with you and I, and then we'll work our way into more people?
I'd like to have a meeting with more people than just me.
Okay, well, I'll come over to the high school in the next couple of days, and we'll see if we can make this happen. But
the only reason
my
he's
office
saying
is
that,
big.
he
What's
wants
that?
us there because at the disciplinary meeting, it seemed like the staff just wanted Preston and his dad kind of to corner him and outnumber him by, it was pretty much Preston and his dad against about as many as it was up there, as many people there are up there. And that I just felt like, we felt like they were cornering him. And he wants other people to be there with him, so I was just telling him.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you. So that will close audience and board comments. So the first order of business then is for some of us newly elected or re-elected officials to take our oath of office again.
Do you have your scripts? Find your scripts.
Take good note.
We're going to do this together. Do you mind?
Do you want us to come up there or you just
I think
stand?
we can do it from right there. That's all right. And of course, when you get to the state your name, you'll know not to repeat that.
Right. Use our real name.
Yeah, so please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Brian Roberts,
Do hereby solemnly swear or affirm
do hereby solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Washington,
and the Constitution of the State of Washington,
and that I will faithfully and impartially perform
and that I will faithfully and impartially perform
and discharge the duties of Director of the Chehalis School District Number 302
and discharge the duties of Director of Chehalis School District Number 302,
Lewis County, State of Washington,
Lewis County, State of
to
Washington,
the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.